Hey there, I'm Danielle Flynn out for City of the Week in Mount Clemens, and we are currently at Anatomy of Death Museum. This is Todd, one of the owners. They've actually got, and I like this, a split where you can get your dose of death, but then afterwards you need some sage, some incense, some candles to get that juju off of you. Well, guess what? They've got that for you here too. And you guys opened up in July of 2019?
2019, correct.
How's COVID been?
People have been really great to us since we opened back up in June of last summer. A lot of people come out to support us. A lot of things not open. A lot of people are spending more times now with their families.
Well, plus you're one of a handful of museums that do death like this. See, the phone's ringing off the hook here at Anatomy of Death.
It's just my mom. I'll call her later.
Hi, Mom. So, I'm glad to hear that the community's been good to you. What's some of what we're going to expect in the museum?
So in the museum, we have over 55 real humans medical skulls from old medical colleges, retired doctors, old shutdown museums. We have a lot of funeral home items, funeral home antiques, coffins, caskets, embalming machines, embalming tables. We have execution swords, anything to do with death or dying,
right?
Or the culture of death and dying.
And didn't the guillotine, pardon me, back in the day, the guy who invented it was named after, and then he was taken out with his invention?
That's, I heard that. It's not 100%, bona fide that happened, but
that's a rough part of history.
Hey, I'm going with that story.
Right?
It's a good story.
I heard too that if they didn't like you, they dulled the blade.
Yeah, pretty much. See, I just hide out in the woods somewhere. They ain't
Let's
finding me.
wait till this chills out.
Yeah, they ain't finding me.
All right, well, we're going to go literally step through the body bags and into the Anatomy of Death Museum. All right, right now we are inside the museum, and this caught my attention. Oddfellows ceremonial robe, and we saw a lot of Oddfellows stuff, including this was a member of the Oddfellows, this real skeleton, and I was like, Todd, what's up with the Oddfellows? Because cameraman Steven, thought they were some kind of an occult, and I'm like, really? Because I'm looking it up on my phone, and it says they were philanthropists, but how does this work in with philanthropy? And Todd, you had a ton of info on that. You said that they established, I think the furthest Oddfellows are known to be in existence is back to the mid-17th century. But as Todd pointed out, dudes love to be in groups, whether it's motorcycle gangs, bowling clubs, Freemasons, Knights of Columbus, or the Oddfellows. Dudes seem to like to congregate. And what was the story behind why they had these robes?
So basically the story behind the Oddfellow skeletons is the members of the organization bringing new members into the chapter, into the Oddfellows Lodge. They would bring the new member in, and the new member would not know what's going on, and then they would place this real human skeleton on the floor at their feet, and they would have goggles on that new member that were blacked out that they could not see.
And Todd said this is where the term hoodwinking came from,
yep.
or hoodwink, was because the members were coming in new, had no idea what was about to happen, and they got these goggles on. So they pulled the goggles off, and
they would be gazing right down into a real human skeleton, and all the members would basically be dressed in robes like this, and the new member would be told, you're gazing down into your mortality. All men are mortal and all men die. So while you have time on this earth, do good and do charity work. Because when you die, as you see the gentleman right here, when you die, you will be judged by your sins, by God. So do good. So they used a lot of skulls and crossbones in their rituals to remind their members constantly that they will one day die and be judged.
So they better do good while they're here. Which I'm like, I love the philosophy behind this, but I got to tell you, way before fraternities and sororities were having their initiation stuff, I got to tell you, if I joined a club and I opened up my eyes, I'm staring at a skeleton and everybody's dressed like this, I'm not thinking, what a charitable group. This is awesome to be a part of. I would be like, how do I not die now? How do I not die now? So, having said all of that, Oddfellows actually still exist today, and you said around the turn of the 19th century, they were one of the largest organizations in the U.S., and they have a strong presence in the U.K. as well.
Yeah, anyone can look them up. They're still around. They've been around. They've done a lot of good, a lot of cemeteries named after the Oddfellows. They buried members with, who didn't have a lot of money Did a lot of work in the community. No really difference than the Freemasons when it came to charitable work. They just went about their image a little different.
Little bit different, Stephen, if you want to zoom in on that. Can you imagine? So there, I meant the robes, Stephen. Don't get all, God. All right.
He's got such a nice smile.
You know, so we are at the Anatomy of Death Museum in Mount Clemens. They're open. They're following COVID procedures. You got to come in. You got to wear a mask. You got to use hand sanitizer before you're allowed to touch a booklet. Todd, we're glad to see that you're following protocols, and we're glad the community is supporting you. This place, I'm not trying to, I mean it as nothing but a compliment. Super weird.
Would you like to hold the skull?
Would I like to?
Yeah, she does.
Excuse me, John.
I've been called away out of business while I'm trying to hold this skull. You know what? I'm okay with. Oh, God, he's gone. Okay. So.
Does that one have a name?
Of the medical
No.
skulls that were, and now he's just leaving while I'm holding a human skull in my hands. So. Do keep in mind that when you come to Anatomy of Death, they do ask that you not touch everything because different stuff, you could jack it up. One of the displays is not here right now because somebody did touch it, and they take really good care of their stuff. And let's face it, depending on the item, you could end up hurting something. It is really hard for me to talk right now while I am holding what I know to be a real human skull. So we're going to go now. But they're here. Anatomy of Death Museum in Mount Clemens. We are live. With City of the Week.